Good evening, I'm Annabelle Tiffin. Welcome to North West Tonight. Our top story. Sir Chris Hoy's terminal prostate cancer diagnosis prompts a tenfold increase in men seeking advice.
I now have a deep resolve to turn this incredibly difficult diagnosis into something more positive.
The six-time Olympian champion says that he's delighted so many men are now asking for help. Also tonight, the murder of Brianna Ghey could not have been foreseen by schools or agencies that dealt with her killer, a coroner concludes. A prolific chop shop gang is sentenced to 70 years for stealing almost £3 million worth of luxury vehicles. Halloween horror, the Cheshire farmer who says his pumpkin crop has almost completely failed for the first time in 30 years. Britain's biggest free light show begins on the Mersey tonight, with more than 100,000 visitors expected.
And we've had a lovely day today, temperatures above the average for the time of year. Is that fine weather set to last in through the weekend? Well, join me at the end of the programme and I'll give you all the details.
The UK's leading prostate cancer charity says there has been a massive increase in men seeking advice since Sir Chris Hoy revealed he was terminally ill. The six-time Olympic champion, who lives in Cheshire with his young family, says that he's delighted by the huge rise in men seeking information and that he's overwhelmed by the support he has received.
I'm so grateful to everyone for their incredible kindness and support. I now have a deep resolve to turn this incredibly difficult diagnosis into something more positive that can help not just me, but anyone, anywhere living with stage 4.
Well, it was earlier this week that Sir Chris reveals that he had between 2 and 4 years to live. Prostate Cancer UK says in the 5 days since then, 100,000 men have visited their website, which lists the symptoms. The charity says normally the figures would be about 10,000.
The response has been absolutely huge, and we see that regularly when people share their story like this. We're very grateful. But the fact of the matter is, the upshot of this is men will get diagnosed earlier when their prostate cancer is curable. And that's the most important thing. The earlier we catch prostate cancer, the easier it is to treat.
The NHS says it has also seen more clicks on its website. There were 14,500 visits in the 2 days after Sir Chris spoke out. That's more than 6 times the site would normally see in a 48-hour period. Now, men we spoke to in Liverpool said that Sir Chris had raised their awareness of the illness.
Because of Chris Hoy, I've had it at the forefront of my mind to get it checked.
As soon as you're eligible, you do need to get checked out because it's a killer.
I've actually asked for a blood test yesterday at the doctor's, so I'll get one in a couple of weeks' time.
Chris Hoy, obviously publicising it in the way he has really impacted younger people, really.
Well, Chris Hoy's father and grandfather both died from prostate cancer, and that has renewed calls for the NHS to target testing on men with a family history of the disease, which kills more than 12,000 men in the UK every year. Next tonight, 14 men have been sentenced to more than 70 years in jail for their role in one of the most prolific chop shop gangs in Greater Manchester. They stole almost 100 luxury vehicles worth £3 million. The vehicles were stripped for parts, which were then shipped to criminals in the Middle East. 7 men were sentenced today in Manchester, in addition to 7 others in 2022. Davinia Ramos reports.
They thought they could get away with it. Here inside a workshop used by the gang, their chief mechanic works on a stolen vehicle.
The beginning of the end.
They targeted and stole fancy cars, mainly Range Rovers, and stripped them in so-called chop shops across Greater Manchester. Over a 2-year period between February 2019 to February 2021, the group, who called themselves The Company, stole about 100 cars worth £3 million. Sometimes, as you can see, from the victims' driveways. One man at home with his 3-year-old daughter was told he'd be killed if he tried to intervene. Today, 6 men were jailed for their role in the gang and 1 received a suspended sentence. The judge said the gang's actions had a huge impact on their victims, both financially but also emotionally. They stole almost 100 vehicles, sometimes in broad daylight, and often in front of the owners of the vehicles whilst they looked on in horror. The judge also said that the public were impacted by what this group were able to do, as insurance premiums have now been raised, and thanked the police for their efforts in tackling this gang. In 2022, the gang's ringleader Asif Hussain and 4 other men were jailed for a total of more than 45 years. 2 more men received suspended sentences. At that trial, it emerged that Hussain and another man falsely obtained COVID bounce-back loans worth £50,000 to set up businesses that they used for criminal operations. Police say the gang were working with criminal groups in the Middle East and believe more individuals are still to be found.
Certainly we know of one individual who we're looking for who we believe fled the country at the time of the arrests that were taking place, and we're putting out appeals really for information in relation to that individual. We suspect that there are people involved in certainly the Middle East who were facilitating the supply of these cars to people in that area.
Officers say they're working hard to review intelligence around groups like this and hope today's sentencing will deter criminals. Davinia Ramos, BBC North West Tonight, Manchester.
Now, the inquest into Brianna Ghey's death has found that education bosses could not have foreseen that moving one of her killers to her school would lead to her murder. The Cheshire coroner says the transfer of Scarlett Jenkinson was properly managed and did not contribute to the killing of the teenager. Well, Andy Gill was in Warrington Coroner's Court for us. And Andy, just remind us, if you can, about the school transfer that the inquest was looking at.
Well, one of Brianna's killers, Scarlett Jenkinson, was moved to Brianna's school, Birchwood, because of her bad behaviour at her previous school. Jenkinson gave a cannabis-laced sweet to another student. The inquest heard that before it accepted Jenkinson, Birchwood School didn't have the full details about what she'd done, though it also heard that the transfer would have gone ahead anyway, even if those full details had been known. So among the key questions this inquest has been looking at is, was Brianna placed at risk by that transfer of Jenkinson to Birchwood, and was Brianna placed at risk because she was in the same inclusion class as Scarlett Jenkinson?
What did the coroner conclude, Andy?
Well, the coroner for Cheshire, Jacqueline Devonish, concluded that neither of the schools nor any of the agencies involved in this could possibly have foreseen that Scarlett Jenkinson and Eddie Ratcliffe, the other killer, would murder Brianna. Only those two knew that they were plotting Brianna's murder from late 2022. The coroner said that there was no reason for anyone to suspect that the friendship between Brianna and Jenkinson was anything other than genuine. Brianna had no reason to suspect that Jenkinson was not a true friend. The coroner said that that school transfer was appropriately managed, and although Jenkinson was involved because of her mental health with a number of agencies, the coroner concluded that none of them would realise that she was so mentally ill that she would go on to kill. The coroner also commended Brianna's mum, Esther Ghey, for her campaign for more controls over children's access to smartphones and children's access to the internet. The inquest heard that Brianna spent a lot of time online, though the coroner said that was not a direct cause of her death.
Andy, thanks very much. A 12-year-old boy has been arrested after a teenage girl was stabbed in Norris Green Park in Liverpool on Tuesday. The 14-year-old victim suffered multiple wounds to the buttocks and leg caused by an unknown weapon. She's being treated in hospital and is in a stable condition. The boy has been released on bail. Merseyrail is launching a Pound for Zoe's Place campaign to try and help save the Liverpool Baby Hospice. The charity urgently needs £5 million for a new home. Passengers are being asked to donate £1 when purchasing tickets at any Merseyrail ticket office for the next 4 weeks.
We estimate over the next 4 weeks that we'll complete 1 million passenger journeys across the Merseyrail network. Now, if every one of those customers travelling through our network and on our trains was to donate that pound that we're asking for today, then there's £1 million there up for grabs. That would be incredible, but anything that we can raise to help obviously will be massively appreciated.
Now, 3 months on from Labour's landslide victory at the general election, the Conservatives are looking for a new leader. Members of the party will choose between Kemi Badenoch and Robert Jenrick, both on the right side of the party. Well, right side, you know what I mean, right part of the party. And we'll find out who wins next weekend. Kevin Fitzpatrick's been speaking to party activists in Bury.
Two potential leaders who are trying to persuade their party that they have a plan for the future.
I am for finishing the job that we started with Brexit.
The truth is, the left never left. It's time to make a change.
Former Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick and former Business Secretary Kemi Badenoch are battling it out after MPs cut the candidates down to a final 2 before members vote. At this pub in the Bury North constituency, there's some reflection on what went wrong after 14 years in government.
If somebody had told me a few years ago we'd only have 120 MPs, I just wouldn't have believed them. So we're starting from a low base. The country is not a left-wing country. It's looking for a viable right-wing or centre-right government that they can trust.
We talked right, but governed left.
It's local activists like these whose help the victor will need to rebuild the party.
I want a leader who can unite us. I think we've seen the mess that Labour are causing already.
I just hope we get a leader that is strong, is honest and gets the rest of the party united behind them.
The scale of the challenge is significant though. The Conservatives lost all but 3 of their MPs in the North West in July and have been wiped out completely on some local councils in recent years. The next leader will have to chart a route back to electability. This is by no means an official poll, but with this group, Kemi Badenoch appears to be in front.
I am leaning towards Kemi. I haven't voted yet.
Robert is a good guy. I've known him for a long time. He's very committed and he talks very articulately about the issues that matter to him. But I think that we need a leader who is going to connect with the wider public.
I feel that Kemi has a real skill in terms of engaging with people and reaching out to the normal person.
Well, we will be discussing that in more depth on Politics Northwest on Sunday morning. Join me at 10 o'clock on BBC One. Now, it is almost Halloween and usually pumpkin season, but in some areas of the region, the pumpkin harvest has been almost wiped out. One farmer in Cheshire says it's the first time in 30 years that the harvest has failed, and they've had to cancel their annual pumpkin picking festival. But as our environment correspondent Judy Hobson reports, they have come up with a seasonal alternative.
This field should be full of pumpkins. The seeds were sown as usual in June, but the harvest failed for the first time in 3 decades.
You know, this is grown, you've got the flowers, and this is where the pumpkins should be growing. We drilled 45,000 pumpkin seeds, and the period just after sowing, it went very cold, went very wet. We want it to be warm for the seeds to develop, and it just didn't happen.
Every year the farm normally produces more than 150,000 pumpkins. This year there are 600.
I've never had this ever. There's nothing worse than having to say this has failed. And then having to publicly go onto our own social media channel and say, hey guys, we can't do our annual pumpkin festival because we've had a crop failure.
The loss of the crop was a big blow, as it generates half the farm's income.
We're not alone in losing the crop, and it has been a national problem. It's been a stressful time, but it also has to make us think very, very quickly about what we do.
The answer wasn't far away. Boundary Farm produces its own apple juice and cider, and so instead of pumpkins, the farm has decided to hold an apple festival. Jonathan's brother Chris says so far it's proving popular.
We literally approach the tree and we just give it a little twist. People really just come out and enjoy the great outdoors. We have over 70 different varieties of apples here on the farm, and we are looking at around about 6,500 trees.
As well as picking apples, visitors can see the traditional way of pressing them.
Something different. So, you know, if people are looking for an autumnal activity to do, this is still something that's fun. Gets the kids outdoors.
Hopefully longer term it will provide a more sustainable business as opposed to just relying on a one crop in October time. To lose such a big part of the farm's income is difficult.
Now Jonathan Hewitt has to decide whether to plant pumpkin seeds again next year. Judy Hobson, BBC North West Tonight, Dunham Massey.
Right, let's move on to sport now. Ian is here this evening. Liverpool looking to continue their impressive start, but it doesn't get any easier, does it, for the Premier League leaders?
It doesn't, Annabelle, it doesn't. Many pundits have called Liverpool's upcoming fixture list potentially season-defining. Those games include Brighton away, Aston Villa and Bayer Leverkusen at home. But before all those, it's Arsenal at the Emirates on Sunday.
Nobody knows in this early stage who is going to be your competitor, your biggest competitor. But I think we all know that Arsenal will be one of them. And then dropping points against them or winning points against them, that is always important.
Also in the Premier League, Manchester City host Southampton tomorrow with Everton at home to Fulham in the late kick-off. On Sunday, Manchester United go to West Ham.
From two tough away games, Porto and Fenerbahce, we take 2 points, which is a result. Yeah, that's of course a pity, and then you are disappointed that you don't win. But yeah, we have to take the point, and at Old Trafford we have to win games.
They certainly do. Let's talk boxing now, and yet another Northwest fighter establishing themselves on the global stage. Chorley super lightweight Jack Catterall there fights the American Regis Prograis at Manchester's Co-op Live Arena tomorrow, with the winner getting a shot at a world title. As you'd expect, Catterall's feeling confident. In May, Jack Catterall had the biggest win of his career against Josh Taylor in Leeds.
Tremendous attack again from Catterall.
And tomorrow night he's after more of this in the first boxing match to headline at Co-op Live. Catterall goes into the fight against Regis Prograis as the favourite in front of a home crowd, with victory certain to further boost his ever-growing profile.
This is the walkout song of Chorley's Jack Catterall.
The events get bigger, I guess there's more media commitments. It's always nice to get involved and take part in that, but I like to keep it relaxed. I'm 31 years old now. I need to make the most of it. This is my time to go out there and do it, so I'm investing in myself. I'm staying in the gym, looking after my body, and ready for this one. As is Manchester, which his promoter regards as boxing central.
You know, for a long time it's been the home of boxing, really. I think we've been all around the world, and now we're back with a massive UK show, but back in Manchester, which is great. And, you know, one of the biggest stars, not just of this area, but British boxing, Jack Catterall. Regis Prograis, experienced, former world champion, big puncher, American, got a lot to say for himself. And, you know, Jack's on a great run, huge support from Manchester particularly, and Chorley, and you know, it's a massive night for his career.
Regis Prograis has twice been world champion and has undoubtedly had some great career highs. He's convinced the good times are far from over.
And still,
this is the best fight you can make at 140 without the belts, and yeah, I'm all up. Like right now I'm just feeling super calm, super confident about everything.
While Prograis has been to the very top, tomorrow night might just be the launch pad. Catterall needs to do the same. These small conversations that happen about a possible world title fight, that gives me the motivation to beat Regis, to put myself in that position. If I can hurt him, I've got to take that shot, I've got to take him out, but failing that, I think over the 12 rounds, I think I'm the better boxer. Should be a good one. Campbell Hatton, son of the legend Ricky, is also on the bill. Also tomorrow, Sale Sharks go to Bath in Rugby Union's Premiership. They're only 5 league games into the season, but having lost at Northampton Saints last weekend, Sharks will, of course, be looking to bounce back. Much like I've bounced back from having a minor sniffle today. Yes, you need a bit of, like, fixed rub on your chest or something, don't you? Yeah. Yeah. I'm not offering, I'm just guessing. No. Yes. Thank you, Ian. Now, last week we told you about a competition to find Britain's best railway station. Well, we have a winner. And guess what? It is Maghull Station in Merseyside. 48 stations were in the running. Around 100,000 votes were cast, and Maghull received 60% of them, as Ben Boulos reports.
Forget the grandeur of Grand Central in New York and the majesty of King's Cross St Pancras in London.
For the latest award-winning railway station, hop on a train to Merseyside. Your destination, Maghull. The winner of Britain's World Cup of Stations.
I'm overawed. This station's been looked after for nearly 20 years now. And bit by bit, it's gradually increased. More flowers, more planting, compost heaps, watering containers, and we all work together, which is wonderful.
The green spaces looked after by volunteers were a big factor in the station's victory. And while this may look like just a station cafe, it's actually much more than that. It's a real community hub, hosting a men's mental health group, a knit and natter club, and a meeting point for walking and cycling groups.
To the guys that come in, it's a home for them. To me, it's a little hug. It's so nice to know that people walk through the doors. They know exactly where they're going to sit, they know what they're going to eat, they know what they're going to chat about, they're comfortable to have that conversation in a public place, know that it's going to go no further. It's heartwarming, it really is.
So what's the secret to running an award-winning station?
It isn't just a place to pass through, it's the heart of the community now. People come here especially for afternoon tea, doggy ice cream, obviously the dogs, not the people. We have the knitting group, we have the ramblers, and our staff stop off here as well and have drinks. It's a place to come, not a place to pass through.
And rumour has it they're already planning on how to keep the title next year.
Ben Boulos, BBC North West Tonight, Maghull.
Oh, well done to everyone at Maghull Station. Now, Liverpool's River of Light Festival opens this evening. More than 100,000 people are expected to visit the art trail, which has 12 installations dotted along the waterfront over the next 12 days. Our reporter Phil Cunliffe is there. Oh, it's always a spectacular show, isn't it, Phil?
It certainly is. Yes, good evening from Liverpool waterfront, and this really impressive artwork behind me, which is called Bubble-esque. It reminds me of a 1950s science fiction movie. We'll talk to one of the artists behind this in just a second. It is drawing quite a crowd tonight. But before that, let's talk to Claire McColgan, Artistic Director for the whole of the River of Light Festival. Tell us about the overall theme for this year then.
Well, the theme on this 7th year of River of Light is the theme of play, which means that everything is interactive, so you can touch it, you can sit on it, you can play it, and you can see how much families especially are enjoying this year.
Yeah, 150,000 people came last year. That's 10,000 every night. How do you keep reinventing this and taking it to another level?
Well, we do a different theme every year, and for us it's really important. They're 12 unique artworks, so every time you come you'll see something different. So that photograph you took of your 1-year-old 7 years ago is completely different every year, because you can see some of the greatest light artists in the world in Liverpool over the next 10 days.
And there's so many spectacular things to have a look round. It's a 2-kilometre tour, isn't it, with all the different 12 interactive things as well. We've got chess pieces, we've got tulips. We'll speak again very shortly. In the meantime, let's just talk to one of the artists. This is Zara, who's from Australia. Zara, this is your design behind us here. We're standing next to this huge bubble. Tell us about the inspiration behind Bubble-esque.
Yeah, so Bubble-esque is a brand new site-specific artwork we've created for River of Light. It's all about the fragility of life. You know, life is special because it's temporary and fragile, just like a bubble is.
And right on cue, the music stopped, but before we had some very soothing music.
Yeah, so it was created by a UK-based composer called Miles Nicholas, and it's to create the full ephemerality and the soothing nature of a bubble bath that we're trying to replicate here.
Now, a lot of work has gone into this. Is there a sense of relief to see so many people interacting with it and enjoying it? And how does that make you feel?
Absolutely. It's definitely a sense of relief, and definitely very rewarding to see the audience interact with the work. As we always have a plan of what that might look like, but once the audience get here, it's always a nice surprise for us.
Yeah, and of course you've got other works around the world, haven't you, including New York?
That's right. So what we created here is part of our bubble texture collection, but we actually do have other modules that we've actually shown here in Liverpool before, so it's really nice to come back and create something really special.
Well, I always love this time of the year, Annabelle. It's special, nip in the air. The clocks go back on Sunday as well. The nights are drawing in, and something like this really comes into its own at this time of year. It's on until the 5th of November, and it starts every night at 5 o'clock.
Oh, that's great. Phil, thank you very much. It does look good, doesn't it? It's really impressive. And we're very relieved that it's not raining. In fact, he said there was a bit of a chill in the air, but Simon, it's been quite mild, though, really, hasn't it?
It has been, yeah. We've had some really fine days, actually. Temperatures have been above the average. And certainly today we've had some fine weather after what was a beautiful sunrise this morning there in Liverpool. Yeah, so some really nice weather, actually. And as I said, temperatures have been above the average. Is it going to last into the weekend? Well, let's have a look. As we go through the next few days, it is largely fine and dry. Tonight, just a bit of patchy rain moving its way north and eastward. That's going to clear away. And with those clear skies, actually, it will be quite chilly tonight. Temperatures getting down to about 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, perhaps a bit chillier than that in the countryside. But it means Saturday morning starts off beautiful. Lots of blue skies and sunshine. Throughout the day, we might just see a bit of cloud and 1 or 2 showers, perhaps, in the Isle of Man. And the cloud will just gradually start to increase from the northwest around Cumbria, North Lancashire later in the day. But maximum temperatures not quite as high as they've been today, 13 to 15 degrees Celsius, a bit more like the average for the time of year. And then overnight Saturday into Sunday, we start to see some rain spreading south and east, but it will clear away pretty quickly with high pressure building in, and then further rain will slowly move its way in for the end of Sunday. And of course, Phil just mentioned it there. Remember, the clocks go back on Saturday night. So, well, it's 2 a.m. on Sunday morning to 1 a.m. So you get the extra hour in bed and make the most of it, because we've got some fine weather. Actually, don't make the most of it. Get out of bed, because it's going to be fine and sunny again on Sunday morning. Lots of sunshine. Eventually, the cloud does increase from the north and the west, and we'll see some rain moving its way in here. But for most of the day, temperatures about 11 to 12 degrees Celsius. Note the sunset is going to be about 4:50 in the afternoon. So quite a big change. Then, as we go through next week, things looking fairly quiet once again. We'll see a bit of rain perhaps on Monday, and then from Tuesday onward, high pressure dominating really, so that keeps the weather settled. But it does mean that during the mornings we might have some rather misty conditions. It might take a while for that to clear away. It might just lift up into some low clouds. So Tuesday and Wednesday fairly cloudy, temperatures 14, 15 degrees. By the end of the week we'll see more in the way of sunshine, but actually for the half-term week, plenty of dry and fine weather to come.
Oh, well, that's good news. Keep those kids busy. I don't know if it's just me. We were talking about pumpkins earlier and they're not being a great crop.
Yeah.
But I don't... Maybe it's just me. I haven't seen many conkers. Has that got something to do with the weather, do you think?
Possibly, yeah. I'm not sure what time of year we normally get them.
Oh, I thought it was now.
Maybe.
I don't know. If
November,
you know.
definitely.
Oh, right. Maybe I'm too early. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah,